Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie, featuring the Vicki Boutin range Where To Next. So I've gone through what I've got of the collection and I've picked out all the blues, greens and yellows, and I want to use this paper called Cool Breeze as the base, and I've cut some white cardstock to go within the square that's already drawn out on the patterned paper. So for this layout I wanted to focus on the paperboard frames. There's a box that you can get as part of this collection of just frames, and I've still got quite a few left, so I put the ones of the colours yellow, blue and green to one side, and I'm just trying to decide how I'd like them to look in this cardstock. I don't want the frames to overhang the white, so it's just moving them around just to see how they would all look. And I want a mix of colours as well. So I want to make sure that I've got the teal to go with the background paper, but also I really quite like that bright blue one in the centre, and also the little ones that really look like film frames. I really like those too. So at the moment I think I'm going to stop with this format, and I'm just going to have a look through some of the bits and pieces that came with this range to see what will go behind these frames. And I'm using quite a bit from the, is it papery pack? I'm not sure how you say it. It looks like a French word to me, but they're really thin. They're not quite like vellum-y, but they're very thin paper, and loads of different designs. And I've got those, and I've got some tags and all sorts of ephemera there. In fact, it spread into 2 trays once I went through it all colourways, and I wanted some words as well. So I'm just going to have an initial pick through and see what I fancy. I also had actually cut up the speciality paper from this range because it's completely full of those beautiful leaves, and that is a vellum 12 by 12, and I'd gone through it in front of the telly, to be honest, and cut it all out. So I cut out the leaves roughly, then I went in and I just cut out the bits that actually are open from the edge. The bits within the leaf I left as just clear vellum, because I decided I would never use the sheet as a whole, but I knew that I would get much more use out of the leaves if they were individually cut. So I'm just trying to go through the papers that I've got. I'm even using some of the packaging there with that blue and white map on to go behind these frames. I really like that square of bright blue, and I keep moving that around, but actually it doesn't make the final cut. But that's another one of those thin papers there going behind that frame. So I'm going to decorate each frame, but I am going to have some photos as well. I haven't actually printed them at this stage because I couldn't quite figure out where I wanted to put them. This is a travel range and this will be a travel layout. I know it doesn't have to be, but I did want to use some travel photographs. So while I'm moving things around, I'm actually having a think where I'm going to put the photographs, because I'm actually going to print them myself specifically to fit this layout. That frame on the right there with the car, the palm tree and the cloud, I always find that some bits of a layout come together immediately and some don't, and that frame I really like. So off camera I've gone to my selfie and I've printed initially 4 photographs. I'm only going to use 3 of them in the end, but one of them is actually a collage. So I've got a small photo down bottom left. Another photo is going to go top right, and in fact it's the one that's there at the moment. And in the centre is a collage. So I decided that I wanted to document some of the street art we saw in St. Petersburg in Florida. It's well known for its street art. In fact, you can do a street art trail, and it's a really good way to get to know a small town or city by walking the streets, having a look at the art and the architecture as you go around. And I do have a thing about street art, and if I know there is some, it's usually somewhere I'd like to go. So in the collage in the centre there is I think it's 7 photographs in total. I'm just counting up in my head, can you hear me? Yeah, it is, it's 7 that I've actually popped into a collage app, and I've printed in one go on my selfie. I will list the app in the words below if it's something that you're interested in doing. There's no way that any of the photographs that I've included in that collage actually really warranted being printed big. They just gives you an idea. They're all shades of blues and greens and yellows and black, and it's just a tip of the iceberg of the street art that we actually saw. If you look at the photo at the top right, I'm standing next to one that says "You are my sunshine." I mean, the art there was amazing and huge. So I've cleared the decks a bit just to start to stick down what I really like, and then I come back in with some extra bits and pieces to embellish, because sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I get a little bit overwhelmed. So I know the bits I really like, particularly which frames are really working. So I'm going to come back in using some foam pads. I'm going to attach some of the ephemera or stickers or the puffy bits and pieces and start to actually put those together. I'm not going to stick the frames down to the cardstock yet, and you'll see why a bit later on. But I just thought I need to make this more manageable. So on the cardstock, before I've attached it to the back sheet, I've come in with a stencil from this range, and it's from the World Traveller stencil pack, and it's like script. You can't read the words at all, but it does look like the written word. And this is just a Distress Oxide. I got out 3 colours because initially I wasn't sure what colour that I actually wanted to put to this. This is actually fossilised amber. It looks darker on the lid than it actually did on the cardstock. So I've just come in with a brush, and I got that from Amazon a while back. I don't have designated brushes for colours, I just rinse them. And I'm just coming in and I'm just trying to add it in the gaps. So I've now stuck that to the base layer, and I've actually gutted the base layer as well, as God forbid I haven't got enough pattern paper, but you know how it is. And that also has leaves on the back, so I thought no, need to keep that. So I'm bringing the frames back in, and then I'm going to look at actually starting to stick stuff down. And you can just see that stenciling, it's very faint, but it just sticks out either side. It's probably a little brighter in real life. We'll see if we can see it in the final image. You definitely will see it in the close-ups. But I just thought it broke up the squareness. It just softened the edges a little, and I thought that's all it took. If I'm honest, I did the stenciling to the cardstock before it was stuck to the base layer in case I messed it up. These things happen, so I wasn't sure how it would work. So when I was happy, that's why I stuck it down. So I've added the photo in the centre on a bit of children's craft foam, just to lift it up above the frame a little bit, and I'm now sticking some of the embellishments into the other frames. That big camera at the bottom, I didn't think I'd actually get to use it if in any other way. It is really big, and I did contemplate cutting the strap from it, but actually I decided no, it fills that frame beautifully. It's definitely goes with the theme, and just by adding a couple of leaves behind it there, I'm going to soften the way that looks. So when it comes to the top left frame, I'm going to try and echo the leaves across. So I'm just adding a little bit of double-sided tape to them. The piece of backing paper says postcard, and I want to use it for my journaling. So I'm just trying to arrange all the ephemera bits on the left, mainly to cover the image that's already on that postcard, because I don't want that. So I've got the compass over the leaves, and now I'm going to bring in this signpost, and it says, just because I don't know where I am going doesn't mean I'm lost. When you're wandering around a new city and looking up at the walls, trying to look at the artwork, that's exactly how I feel. I didn't know where I was, but I certainly wasn't lost. So I brought in some more of the ephemera bits and pieces. I'm going to add some words to some of the frames. On top of the car, I've added on the road again, and I've got another piece there in yellow that says tourist, which I probably looked very much like to the locals. I've added an arrow there to just emphasise the title, which says explore new places, and I've obviously got a little ephemera map that I've tucked in there. I've got some words now to add to the photo. It just says a collection of moments. I think that definitely goes well with the street art. So the last 2 frames, they're giving me a little bit of trouble. That's always the same for me. So off camera, I go and make a cup of tea, come back, have a look at it, and actually swap them around. So the road trip photo from inside the car is at the bottom, and the I put the sunshine photo at the top. I'm going to just overhang that on the frame there, and I'm going to tuck in a die cut sun. I think that fits there. Bringing the yellow back in. There's quite a few pops of yellow on this layout, and I think it really lifts it. Adding another cloud which I cut out from the 6x8 pattern paper. Just coming back in now with the chipboard and the puffy words, and adding any other little bits and pieces I can see. So there's a lovely blue and gold heart there that I added at the top. I'm adding another map to this frame underneath the photograph. We do tend to use the sat-nav. We had an absolute disaster with the sat-nav we used in America, but a lot of the roads weren't even on it. So we really could have done with a paper map, if I'm honest. I really liked the key and fob that was on the sticker sheet, but it just was at a funny angle, and I think that's what was stopping me using it. But actually I cut it apart and then I layered it on top of each other, so I think that works really well. So I'm really pleased with all the dimension that's on this layout. I'm going to add the journaling off camera, but I do fill it in on the postcard at the top before I finally photograph it. So thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Have a look at Hey Little Magpie. Treat yourself to some of this range. It's fabulous. And we hope to see you here again real soon. Bye for now.